They will come back, but they'll be totally electric.
They're coming back electric.
They will be a lot. To do what we do in this business, it's not hard work. You follow a simple process.
Those days come.
That's the problem.
It's not going to be great for the customer.
That's the problem.
All right, welcome to the 4th episode of Behind the Showrooms. Today we have a special guest, another good buddy of mine, Colin. Thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure being here, John.
So, Colin, you and I, we go way back.
Way back.
Yes. When did we first start working together?
It was Lexus.
Right.
And I want to say, 14 or 15 maybe?
2014 to 15.
14 or 15,
right?
I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was, the world was a different place. Car dealerships were a different place.
Right. Yep, exactly. So what do you do now?
So right now I am working at a Jeep store as a salesperson. I've worn many hats in this industry.
Right.
I've been doing this, what year are we in?
Yeah.
Since 2001.
Wow.
No, 2002. I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
2002, got in the car business. Wasn't the best student in school, so Dad said it's getting a job or going to college. College wasn't for me, so got into the car business. Hated it.
Yeah.
My first week, I quit,
Really?
and took about another 3 months off, and before almost getting thrown out of my house for not having a job.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I decided, you know what, let me give this another shot. I gave it another shot, and I really haven't looked back since. Fell in love with it.
Where did you first start?
Ford. First started at a Ford store
Mm-hmm.
in a sleepy little city in New York, upstate New York, and where I'm from. My first day back when I will say I really started,
Right.
before I could quit, which was the same store, by the way.
Right.
I sold a car and I made about a $1,200 commission on it.
Wow.
And I was 18 years old. And once I got that paycheck, that was a wrap. I was hooked. Stayed there for about a year and transferred over to a brand I had a little more enthusiasm in at the time. Back then, I was all about, I wanted the flashy brands, and I thought, wherever you worked, that was a symbol of you. So I ended up getting a job at a BMW dealership up in New York, where I stayed there for 7 years and moved myself up to a fleet sales manager. After that, I went to a Mercedes dealership, and then that's when I met you at Lexus.
Right. Yes.
We worked for Lexus, and of course, guess what happened? Buy, sell.
That's exactly what happened. Yep, exactly. No, you're right.
Another buy, sell.
Oh, man.
I got no luck, right?
Those were interesting days, though, during
Yeah.
the buy-sell period.
Yeah,
where
yeah, it was.
we couldn't
they
deliver cars
couldn't
unless it was
deliver
a full
cars,
cash deal.
full
It had
cash
to be-
deal. We had, LFS sitting upstairs in the conference room holding the keys,
Yep.
and that was something,
Yeah,
right?
that was a new experience for me, definitely.
Yeah, I think for all of us that were there, that was the one and only store I've ever worked at that fell out of trust, and it was sad because that store was a powerhouse.
Yeah,
We moved metal. That was, to me, John, that was the car business. That store. We had 20 to 30 salespeople on the floor, 5-6 finance guys. It was a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time in my business I went from these sleepy little upstate New York stores to a
Right.
real volume producing car dealership, and I was hooked. I loved it. I loved the competition there, and the people there were great. And even though, there was many times we didn't walk out of that place till 4 a.m. on the
Yeah.
last day of the month.
Yeah, I know.
We built great memories, and we became great friends with a lot of people there. So after Lexus, I ended up, of course, another buy sell. Whenever you're younger and you go through a buy sell at a dealership, you kind of people are set in their ways, right? They like what they're used to. They don't like change for the most part. And I said, oh gosh, not again.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought this kind of powerhouse of a store would be in this situation, so to speak. So
It's a huge company, too.
huge company. For those of you watching that don't know, this franchise owned probably 12
Highline Stores,
15, 12 to 15 Highline stores. And everything, I guess their lowest line was Toyota and their highest line was Lamborghini and McLaren. So
Right.
they had basically a monopoly on a good amount of stores in the New Jersey area. And for something like that to happen, I think we were all kind of taken back by it.
Right.
So I ended on moving on to a Porsche dealership, where I spent a couple years there, and from there, the management there said basically, listen, we have this auto group had a couple stores too. They said, listen, we have a Kia store that's in the red. You're very good at what you do. We're going to take you and the other manager here and bring you guys over there. Mm-hmm. We went to that store. When I got to that store, I was in shell shock. It was not a Porsche store. It was not a Lexus store. It was not a Mercedes or a BMW store. It wasn't even a Ford store. It was a hole in the wall. Right. The carpets were probably from the 50s in it. It was just bad. But you know what? We turned it around with people, process, and procedures, man. That's what this business is all about. In a nutshell, I mean, sales is sales. Whether you're selling a pair of shoes, a car, a house, it's meet, greet, find a common ground. You know your product a little bit. You don't have to be, you don't have to know how to build it, but you need to know the basics. Right. And you need to be a real person. And that's what a lot of these, younger guys forget is that, it just be yourself. At the end of the day, be yourself. I don't do anything to a customer that I wouldn't want done to myself. I try to put myself in their shoes. I'm an open book when I'm selling. Right. I tell them, I have a line. I say, listen, I don't like buying cars. I'd rather be at the dentist all day than doing this. I literally tell my customers that. They laugh about it, and they say, yeah, a lot of times, of course you get the customer, every once in a while that doesn't mind it. But most are like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah, I know. You're sitting here. I'm sitting here. You want to know things. You want me to tell you things, and you're trusting me to be that person. Let me be that person for you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the math is the math. Math is 100% accurate. It's never, ever going to be wrong. Right. So, a lot of people get the perception that it's funny. I've told sales guys in the past that, we don't build the cars in the back. We got to pay for them still.
Right. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Jeep had a huge increase on MSRP.
Huge.
Right.
And they're still going. They're still going. The trucks, the heavy duty trucks, the Ram 2500s, 3500s are an extra, depending on the model, an extra 500 or up to 4,000 on MSRP. Wow. And the problem is that they can't get rid of them. Luckily, at the store I'm at, we are moving them. Right. They've come out with some incentives and some help, and now we've been turning them quite well. But yeah, basically in a nutshell, I've been a salesperson. I've been a fleet sales manager. I've been a used car manager, a new car manager, a GSM, and even a GM of a used car dealership. Mm-hmm. Didn't want to deal with it anymore. No.
Well, I think now is a good time to sell too.
Be a salesperson. Yeah. So I took a long step and said, you know what, is this still what I want to do after 20 plus years in this business? Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is, where are you going to make that kind of money? Right. Yeah. So.
Don't get me wrong, because even at my store, I can pick at least 5 people who makes more than me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Store,
yeah.
Just selling cars.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're out there. There's plenty. I'm so much more happy. Yeah. It's so much less stress. I have to worry about myself and myself only. Mm-hmm. For a while I looked at myself as the world's highest paid babysitter. Yeah. I would come home, my wife would see it on my face, like, you had a bad day, didn't you? I'm like, oh, well, the usual. And I would tell her my problems. She would be like, what? Wait, what? You have to worry about that? And I'm like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Like anything else in this world, it is work at the end of the day. But to do what we do in this business, it's not hard work. It really isn't. Mm-hmm. You follow a simple process. Every single customer should be the same process. It should be meet, greet, build a common ground, pick out a vehicle, demo drive, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Right. And it should be like that with every customer. And I find just being genuine, nice to people, letting them know that you're here to work with them versus against them. Right. I'm on your side. Make the manager the bad guy. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm on your side. We're team get you a car today.
Right. Right. No, of course.
Yeah.
So how many cars do you sell at your store?
As a dealer or
just you
personally? Just me in general? I'm doing about 25 to 30 a month. Okay. Yeah. About 25 to 30 a month. My store is a little different dynamic. It's a Jeep store. It's I would say the sales are fairly easier than your typical Range Rover or your Porsche client, where it's, I know with Porsche, it was about a 90-day average from seeing that client to turnaround times, having them drive a car off your showroom floor. You weren't spotting people left and right, and it's a little bit different. We don't hold cars, we don't do deposits. It's you're here, you're buying the car today. Okay, if you're not taking the car today, that's fine. Hopefully, it'll be here tomorrow. We have delivery coordinators. Salespeople don't even do insurance there. So basically, we write the deal. Deal goes back to finance. We grab one of 5 delivery coordinators. They sit down with the customer, get insurance.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, that's done. The car, you're just following the car, make sure it gets the detail with the lot guy, which the lot guys bring. Finance comes out of the office, comes to the desk, greets the customer, takes them back, signs them up. Insurance is already done. Delivery coordinator meets them when they're outside of the office. By that time, car is staged and ready. Right. They go over the car and see you later. Wow. We remind them about a CSI survey and on to the next. So it's definitely set up for volume and set up for speed, which I like, which is nice. It's less running around, less headache, and more focused on selling cars.
Right. Now, 25 to 30 cars, is that a lot for your store?
It's top 3 salespeople in the store.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, top 3 out of 15. So,
right.
And like I said, at this point in my life, I'm happy with it. I'm making good money, and definitely a pay cut from being a GSM or a sales manager, but not by much. Right. And depending on the store, I'm probably making more than some. So it's always a good thing. But to me, it's a quality of life that change for right now.
Right.
Granted, will I go back into management at some point in my career? I'm sure I probably will.
As long as the numbers make sense.
As long as it's exactly. Right. At this point in my career, just like you, if it's, if we get a pay plan and it's not to our liking, I can do this anywhere. Not to say that that's the right thing to do. Right. I never want to leave a dealership for no reason or over a pay plan, but at the end of the day, it's, if you have to, you have to. You got to do what you got to do. Which is one of the beauties of this business. And I was thinking this on the ride here is we are in the North Jersey market. If we can make it here, we can make it anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
As cliche as the Frank Sinatra song sounds, it's the most populated, the most you drive up and down Route 17, it's there's probably what 30, 40 dealerships easily. So it's the most competitive. Working for different brands, I'm sure it's happened with you too. Is you go on ride and drives or they have reveals of models stuff and. Right. One working for Porsche, we went to Atlanta, and I was talking to a bunch of guys there, and they're like, "Wait, you guys do what? You have that many dealerships around you?" Right. And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "So if somebody comes in and they're gonna shop you?" I'm like, "Depending on the customer, they may. I mean, don't you guys get shopped?" They're like, "Yeah, but." The next closest dealership is an hour away. Right. Yeah.
Where they're at, of course.
So we're like, sure, if you want to shop us, go ahead. Here we have, I got to worry about everything. Right. And it's funny in our area. I'm selling, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram right now. Believe me, I take plenty of Range Rovers and Mercedes in on lease return and stuff like that. So it's not just, this guy's driving a G-Wagon. Guess what? We took one on trade yesterday. The guy got a Wrangler. Right. People that they just, all right, I got it out of my system. I spent the big bucks, had the big fancy car. Yep. I'm cool with it now. You know what I mean? I'm over it. Right. So it definitely happens. We see people from all walks of life, and that's one thing I will tell you is one thing I learned in this business is don't ever stereotype, man.
No, of course.
And we all know that by now, but
we all know it, but sometimes
we still do it. Absolutely, absolutely. You woke up that morning and the coffee wasn't hitting right or something. You're like, I don't want to take this. It doesn't look like it.
Right. It doesn't look like a buy.
Yeah, this is probably nothing. 5 minutes later, he's in finance already. Yep. And it's always those guys that are dressed in less than stellar attire, so to speak, that are coming in and saying, yeah, I'll take this one. Right.
Have you seen the market more competitive lately?
It has been. It has been for us at least. Nothing crazy, but it's getting there. Especially being December now. This is it. This is the month. In this business, it's a month by month business, and obviously this is the last month of the year. So right. Everybody's trying to push out as many cars as they can, and it has gotten a little more competitive lately. Usually
the same brand or competitors.
For the most part, competitors.
Okay.
It's different, but we get a lot of competitors with Toyota. A lot of Honda buyers, believe it or not, which you would think, there's no comparison really. They're kind of two different,
Right.
We sell mostly SUVs and trucks. Honda sells mostly cars and smaller SUVs, but a lot of Honda comparisons. And I don't know if that's just because the market right now or where we're priced against, but I mean, as you know, today, nothing's really flying off the shelves cheap. Right. We had a talk before we came on the air about, what are you paying for this car and what are you paying for that car? And
right.
the cars used to be $399 are now $699.
Right. With money down.
With at least double the money down, right? So, your typical Grand Cherokee once was, $1,500 total out of pocket, $399.
Right.
I challenge you to find that deal because you ain't going to.
So what do you do with clients who come back 3 years later, find out that their payment is double?
Most people that I've encountered have realized, listen, I've done some research, which is one thing that helps us in the business is obviously the internet.
Right.
Everything's everywhere, if you give me 20 minutes, I'll find you the money factor and residual on a new Range Rover, big body. Right. It's there. Yeah. Everything's out there. Right. So, which helps us because it makes our job easier. But at the end of the day, I would say a lot of my clients are, realizing, okay, we know it's going up, where are we at?
Right.
And I encourage people, please shop it around. I want you to. I want you to feel comfortable with your purchase.
Right.
I don't want to jam you in a car and then you call me and say you did the wrong thing. How am I ever going to, that's not a good way to build a business. Right. You're never going to get repeat and referral business. So I always encourage my clients, shop it around. I stand behind my numbers and my skills of being a good person and making sure you'd want to deal with me.
Right.
Again, because believe it or not, those of you that are new to the business, that does make a difference. Right. It's not always just about the numbers. There's millions of times where people have called me and said, you know what, you sold me a car. And I don't even remember them. You sold me a car 6 years ago. You were great. Where you at? What are you doing? How you been? And, oh, come on down. And sure enough, they'll buy a car again. That's one thing I always try to value myself as, not value myself as, but set myself up for is things like that. People have their guy, right? You have a guy, there's a guy for everything, right? Oh, go to my guy if you need, your central air serviced or you need your car worked on or something like that.
Right.
Let me be your car guy. You know what I mean? Come to me. You're always going to get, a fair deal. You're going to get taken care of. And that's the key to the longevity in this business is just taking care of your customers. Following up and being a decent human being.
Right.
It's really not that much.
No, of course.
It's really not that hard.
I may have a two-part question for you.
Sure.
So the customers who cross-shop and look at Hondas or the Toyotas, obviously they come back and what do most people like about the Jeeps over the Hondas or the Toyotas?
Well,
and it's a two-part question.
Sure.
And how do you overcome the cross-shoppers who are looking at other vehicles to try to sell them your car instead?
Sure. To me, it's simple. You're going to get those customers that, yes, I'm cross-shopping you with this or that, and it's standing by your product, and that's where your product knowledge comes into play a little bit. It's restating the questions, going over the vehicle again, showing them the features you're going to get, and then selling the dealership, right? What's Honda, what's Toyota doing that you're not doing at your dealership, and vice versa. Right. Selling little things like that, and then on top of it, it's obviously selling yourself, right? So they're going to remember, it's going to come down to, I kind of like both cars the same. The Honda had this, the Toyota had this, and the Jeep has this. Who would you rather buy a car from? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just a quick question based off of the process, because you mentioned process before.
Yeah.
There are certain customers who are very nice. There are certain customers who are very rude.
Oh, yeah.
Very aggressive.
Yep.
Do you have a certain way of approaching those type of customers? I know you said treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
Follow the same process.
Same process doesn't mean the same word tracks and stuff.
Correct.
Right. So follow the same basic steps. Road to the the road to the sale.
Exactly.
Which we learned 20 plus years ago. Everybody's a different personality, right? You get the type A guy that comes in, doesn't say hello to anybody. Let him go. Let him do his thing. You know what I mean? Let him look around. Sir, you're in control, sir.
Right.
I'm just here to answer any questions you have and help you out. Mm-hmm. All the while, I'm trying to steer him towards what I want.
Right.
which is, ultimately, to make the sale and to have a customer.
Right.
When you get those customers that come in that that are standoffish, not necessarily rude or mean, you kind of got to let them look around, let them walk around. Their guards up. That's all. They're like this. You got to slowly just bring it down. But I like to let them kind of do their thing first. Let them look around, let them walk around, and just, sir, I'll be right over here if you have any questions.
Right.
Please feel free to look. And if there's anything I can help you, point you in the right direction of, please don't hesitate to ask me.
Right.
And then 5 minutes later, come back and check on them.
Right.
Sir, I saw you looking at car A over here. Can I answer any questions for you? What are you driving now? What brings you in today? What can we sell you?
Right. That's where you analyze, right?
Of course. Of
Right.
course. It's that old, what's that old adage they used to say is, every time you're in let's say a Macy's, for example, can I help you? No, you can't. Don't start with that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Introduce yourself. Welcome. Smile.
Right.
Body language is what, 90% of it? A lot of people aren't sure, but the challengers and chargers are going away. It's
Right.
what they call last call for them. They will come back, but they'll be totally electric.
They're coming back electric.
Yes, they're coming back electric. They will be a lot faster than this gas models, but they will be electric. And a lot of those Dodge people aren't happy about that,
Really?
obviously.
Right, yeah.
Right? So they're
The history of the car.
They're the
Yep.
history people, the muscle car guys.
Yep.
Most of my Hellcat buyers are ones that, I had this car when I was 18 and the 1967 version of it, and they just retired, and we get a lot of people that, work their whole lives, police officers and firemen and, your blue collar people that have worked their whole lives. Either them or their parents had the car growing up and things like that.
So what year is this effective?
I know it'll be electric. They may have a plug-in hybrid option as well.
Is it going to make the same engine noise?
It's funny you say that because I did read that they're computerizing
They have to.
an engine noise.
They have to on these cars. Yeah.
But I feel I get it. I completely get it where they're coming from, what they're trying to do.
So what do you think about people who might be interested in getting the car business? Is now a good time?
Yeah. Again, there's never really a bad time. If you're dedicated and and you're willing to take constructive criticism and have a little bit of thicker skin, which can be taught, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
It's a great business. It really is. I have nothing bad to say about it. Yes. Sometimes you can get burnt out with long hours and stuff like that. But I mean, in today's day and age, it's pretty good. Than when we started, or at least when I started. I was thinking about that the other day. This business has changed so much. When I started, the iPhone wasn't invented, right? We all had like Nextels.
Right. Yeah.
But even before that, there was a time you could mark up an interest rate, whatever you wanted. That's insane.
I know. Yeah.
And there was no internet. Customers didn't know. They didn't come in and say, "Hey, I'm looking at the the Range Rover Velar today. I want it with the premium package, this package, that package. What have you got in the lot?" It was, "Hey, I'm looking for a family sedan. What have you got?
Right.
Let me get out the book and build it with you and show you all the options. Then I'm going to take you out to the lot. These are my sedans.
Right.
Have you seen any you like? Anything catch your eye, Bill?"
Yes.
It was salesmen standing outside, smoking cigarette after cigarette, drinking coffee after coffee, waiting for somebody to come on a lot. And you know what? I guess it kind of paved the way for where we are now. But at the same time, it probably gave a lot of places people got a bad rap of the car business because of that.
Right.
We're the sleazy car salesman, when in reality, most salespeople, they just want a deal.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Forget it. I'll take the flat at this point. I don't want to fight anymore.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's my advice to the consumer is find a person that you can trust. And most of these people are not bad people. They're trying to make an honest living. They're trying to do the right thing by you. And I always I tell people this, and I stand by it. If I treat you right, you may tell one or two of your friends. If I treat you wrong, you're going to go out of the way to tell everybody, do not go to that guy, do not go to that dealership. They're scummy, they're shady. You're going to write reviews online, you're going to do this and that. Now, at the end of the day, there's what we call the 10% rule, right? Not everybody's perfect. Sometimes SHIT happens. But for the most part, if you treat people right and you do the right thing, I would like to tell people, find that one person that you trust and stick with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, you can call me up and say, hey, I know you got my last car from you, but this time I'm really interested in this brand. I'll help you out.
Right.
I know people. I'll make a phone call for you if you want it. I don't mind it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I have no problem with that.
Yep.
You know, I'll help you out. I'm not going to ask for $1. I don't want a bird dog or anything like that. I just, hey, John, I'm going to send my buddy over. Please do the right thing. He's a great guy. I'm going to tell him to ask for you. Okay, no problem. You know, and that's the beauty of being in this business for a long time and networking with people. We know people, right? So I can always call you and say, hey, John, I have a guy I'm going to send down, put him with one of your sales guys. He's interested in car X, Y, or Z. You know, do the right thing. And I know you'll do the right thing.
Right.
And then there's those people in this business that try to take shortcuts and think, and again, in this business, we're all about instant gratification. But if you can kind of hold that off a little bit and think a little bit ahead about the future, not only are you going to make more money, you're gonna have a better longevity,
right?
And I feel like you're going to have less stress. You know, worrying about trying to crack somebody over the head when it's not needed.
Right. Yeah.
There are those high-end cars or cars that you can get away with that. That's what the market warrants, right? But when we try to go above and beyond the market on something that doesn't deserve to go above and beyond the market, that's where it becomes kind of shady. You know, and that's how I feel sometimes people in the business get a bad rap, or stores in general get a bad rap. I've worked for places that it's been like magical fees appear and all these things, and it's just like, can we just do the right thing by people? Can we just not do this? Right? Like, what's it going to get you? An extra $1,500 per copy, but 50 bad CSIs, and to me, it's bad business. But again, we can't change City Hall, right? Just,
no, of course.
Just keep trying to do the right thing and go on from there. You know. How have you been? How's your store treating you? Everything's good?
Everything's good.
You've been
so
there a
far.
while
Yeah,
now,
can't
no?
complain. Yeah, we're starting to get ordered cars being delivered.
So you guys probably do a lot of factory orders, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When you're paying upwards of $50,000 to $150,000 to even $200,000 plus for a car, you kind of want what you want, right?
No, of course, yeah.
And that was the one thing about Porsche, which I'm sure is similar to you, is the customers wanted what they wanted, which is fine. I can't blame them for that. But they wanted it now, right?
Right.
So, and I'm sure you guys have those people that ordered a car, and you've clearly stated to them, listen, from what we know, the car could be whatever the time is. Let's call it 6 to 8 months. And they call you 2 weeks later. Hey, just check it in. Where's the car? Buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still in pieces.
Right. No, I know.
Quick little story. I was a general manager of a non-franchise used car point shortly after COVID happened. And I had bought a Tesla. It was a Model S. And I had to bring it to Tesla on 17 to do like a software update. They do like 500 cars a week.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
It's insane.
That's
I couldn't
insane.
believe it.
Yeah.
There's
When
no
I picked up
salespeople.
my car, I didn't believe it either.
I could not believe it. I literally was in the lot and I'm seeing all these cars and it says, customer's name in the windshield on a little plaque or a little laminated piece of paper, and they come and they take their car. I was like, wait, where's it? What? I'm so confused. I have so many questions.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of the service advisors, and they say, yeah, it's all online. It's all done like this. And I think Tesla can get away with that. When I see a lot of these other brands, and I can't speak so much for high end, I can tell you I'm in this Facebook group. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Life at the Dealership.
I think I may have seen it.
It's pretty funny, but it's people from all over the United States and Canada that work in car dealerships. Could be GMs, could be salespeople, finance managers, anything like that. And these electric cars we can't give them away. I read, and I don't want to knock anybody's brand, but I read that Ford has that Mach-E, and one guy said we're starting at 10,000 under invoice, and we still can't sell them.
Really? Wow.
It's just, and I know that's where we're headed, obviously, and it leads me to believe that, who knows? I mean, what do you think? What do you give this business? 20 more years until we're all replaced?
You know what? I think that's way too far out.
You think so, right? Seriously?
Yeah, I'm guessing within probably 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, because it's like with these Teslas, correct me if I'm wrong, when you bought your car, obviously you did everything online. and even for an F&I, you pick your bundle, right?
Right.
It's like, all right, so this is the car. Do you agree
I
with
wanted to buy tire and wheel on my car.
Right.
I didn't have the option to.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Tesla does not give you
They
a
don't
tire
give you
and wheel
tire.
protection
Now, are they
option.
run flats?
They are not run flats.
Okay, so at least they're not run flats. But still, I
And my
just
car
like
has
you, I want
21s.
tire and wheel on all my cars.
And I believe the Tesla cars are very heavy due to
Due to the batteries.
lithium-ion
Yeah,
batteries.
yeah.
So
Sure,
if you
sure.
were to hit a pothole or a bump,
Yeah, you're putting more weight on it.
You're putting
and
more
you're
weight
gonna
on it.
Be more susceptible to damage, especially
Yes.
with 21-inch wheels.
yes, and it doesn't have a spare. And that's my biggest fear. Like I said, I'm not worried about the charging part of it. It's
Right.
more of if I get a flat
Right.
or if something breaks down.
God forbid you're driving and your kids are in the
Yes.
car and now you got to wait for a tow truck to come.
Yes.
And yeah, sure, absolutely.
I tried getting a service appointment because I believe one of my cameras didn't work on the left side pillar.
Yep,
It took me 3 weeks just to get an appointment.
just to get an appointment.
Yes.
And that place is huge. It's not a small little lot. Like you see some of these Tesla dealerships, they're in malls and stuff, and they're little storefronts.
Yep.
This is for the folks that don't know, this is a dealership,
Right.
right? They have a showroom. They have a huge service area. I think 90% of their store is service.
Right.
The garage is 90% of the building where they fix the cars. And the lot is always jam-packed, and there's always
Yep.
people outside walking around the lot. Customers in general, as human beings, like I just said, they want to feel like they got a good deal. They don't want to feel like I had to pay full price for this.
Yeah.
Even the ones that do pay full price, they can justify it because you can sell it to them and you can spin it in a way that, listen, it's really not that bad, Mr. Customer. This is what everything's going for now, right? I had a customer the other day tell me, he said, what's the best rates right now? I said, probably around 8%, somewhere in there, between 8 and 9%. He, what do you mean 8 and 9%? I said, sir, have you watched the news? Well, what do you mean? Yeah, I watched the news. Do you know what the prime rate is right now? It's 6% and rising. So what's the difference, Mr. Customer? Well, what do you mean? I said, well, what would you like your rate to be? 3%. Well, that's not feasible right now, but let me explain something to you, Mr. Customer.
Right.
That imagine your rate was 3%, like it would have been pre-COVID, right? Or pre-pandemic.
Right.
Your rate would have been 3%. But what were you getting in a CD account then?
Yeah.
0.1%?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're getting 5% in a CD account and your rate is 8%. So
Exactly.
it's 3%.
Right. So it's pretty much the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Right. Yes.
It really is, right?
Mhm.
Yes, the payments are higher. Everything is inflated because the percentage points are higher. But if you took that money, and I'm no financial advisor, but I can tell you if a CD account's paying me 5% right now, and I'm getting my money at 8%, there's that same 3% delta.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, and again, it's the way of, how you explain things to people and break it down. And I broke it down for him like that. Then I showed him and I sat down and we worked it out on a piece of paper. And I said, listen, this is what you would pay if you were at 3%, which we all know is fictitious right now, including yourself,
Right.
which he agreed on. And this is what it would be if it was at 8%.
Right.
And it's not that far off.
No.
Well, I don't want him to. Okay, sir, then pay cash. There's your alternative.
I try not to say that, but
Of course you do.
I can't say that because I got to save the deal.
Of course.
Yes, right.
No, I know. But it's just about doing the right thing, man.
Yeah.
It's really all it is. Stick with it. It's about doing the right thing. Follow the steps, and you will make money.
Right.
You will put time in. I will tell people that are trying to get into the business or thinking about getting into the business, grass isn't always greener. It really isn't. And sometimes it is. There's some horror stories out there, but for the most part, 90% of dealerships are trying to do the right thing. Right. 90% of salespeople, finance managers, general managers, sales managers are just normal people trying to make an honest living and do the right thing. We're not that bad.
Right. No, of course, no.
We go home, we have kids, we have families. We're normal people too.
There's a
right?
bunch of sweethearts in this business.
There really
to be
is.
honest
There
with
really
you,
is.
yes.
And most of the time, we're gonna drop down. We're gonna hit you with the first pencil, go a little back and forth, have a little talk, and we're gonna give you a fair deal. When it comes down to it.
Right.
And what's a fair deal? A fair deal is perception. It's all relative, right?
Right.
So
it all makes sense to everybody.
yeah, there's no reinventing the wheel. It's not rocket science. It's literally be a decent human being and you'll
Right.
make money.
Yeah, no, of course. I know.
If I could break it down in any simplest form, be a decent person and you'll
Right.
make money. Yeah.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Has Jeep or Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram have been in the talks of an online car buying process? Because the sooner that day comes, it's going to be the start of the end of the
100%.
salespeople business.
Yeah. So My advice to you, if you're thinking about getting in this business, do it now because you got a good 10 to 12 years left.
Right,
before it's
exactly.
done.
To make a career out of it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's not going to be great for customers. When those days come,
That's the
it's
problem.
not going to be great for the customer.
That's the problem.
They're all going to pay what the manufacturer think you should pay for the car.
What you should pay for the
No
car.
discounts.
Not what you should think you should pay for the car or
Right.
what reality says you should pay for the car.
Right. Because Tesla shows you how much money they're making on this.
They're making on it. Right.
Even if they
Correct.
discounted it
Right.
$15,000,
They're still showing
there's
you.
still room for markup.
And I wonder what those margins are. I'd be
Yeah.
curious to know.
I was told, I
you
heard
know?
from somewhere, it was around 14 something percent
Okay.
before,
Okay.
double or even triple some of the manufacturer prices
Sure.
as far as cost goes.
Sure.
So once we go into that market, customers are going to end up paying for that.
Paying for that.
You know,
100%.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's folks, it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
It's,
people say how great it is to buy a Tesla, how seamless it is, and
Right. Call me old school.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see somebody face to face. I want to shake their hand. I want to, I want to meet them. I want to talk to them, and I want them to sell me.
Right.
They say people in the car business we're the biggest laydowns, but it's true.
Yeah.
I am a laydown, but I appreciate that. Right. I appreciate good help.
of course,
So when the genius at Best Buy comes up to me and says, hey, I hear you're looking at a Mac. Can I show you some features and can I explain this to you? I appreciate that. Maybe I'll pay more.
Right.
Maybe I won't pay more, but at least let me work with that. Whereas if I have to do something online or on the computer, yes, that's the age we're going to, but believe it or not, just like the electric car thing, there's a ton of people out there. Like Jeep right now, we do very well on them. The Wrangler 4xEs, which is a plug-in hybrid, and the Grand Cherokee 4xe, which is a plug-in hybrid. Great incentives on them from the government, the electric or alternate fuels vehicles, stuff like
Right.
that. But you don't know how many customers we try to put them in and they say, I don't want that. I'm not driving an electric car.
Wow.
I've heard horror stories. They blow up. A spontaneous combustion. I'm like, no, they don't. Stop. There are people out there like that, and that don't want that new age
Right.
stuff still. And I think we have to cater to them.
Yeah.
And you're never going to sell an 8-year-old a Tesla like that. So who's the bad ones? The salespeople that are trying to make $1,500 in markup and sell you a warranty and make $2,000 on it,
Right.
or the Teslas of the world that are
Right.
showing you in your face, hey, look at what we're making.
Right. Good stuff, Colin. Wow.
Yeah, man.
That was a lot of
It was fun.
good talk. Yes.
Cool,
It
man.
was entertaining. We'll definitely love to bring you on again and
Anytime,
talk
brother.
about, new things.
Anytime.
Yes.
Anytime, man.
Thanks for coming by, man.
Pleasure,
Appreciate
bud.
it.
Thanks, John.